Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Riverwoods. Will you please stand with me and say the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Ford,
Present.
trustee Clayton,
Here.
trustee Dickon. Here. Trustee Eastman is absent.
Yes.
Trustee Hollander,
Here.
trustee Jamerson,
Here.
and trustee Smith.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first order of business is a presentation of the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program Award to our police department. This is always one of the most honored things that I do, is to honor our police department. So tonight with us, we have the police chief from the village of Lincolnshire, Chief Joe Leonis, who is also the second vice president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. And Chief, if you will.
Thank you, Mayor. So I first wanted to say thank you for the very short drive over here. It was very nice. The last time I presented this award was Lansing, Illinois, which is down by Kankakee. So you can imagine how excited I was to present this award. So yes, I am the chief of police for the village of Lincolnshire, but I am also the vice president for the Illinois Chiefs. And we're very happy to present this award to the village of Riverwoods tonight. So I have some words I'd like to say. We have a little
Please.
speech.
Thank you.
In 2010, the Illinois Chiefs sought a way to help local police departments demonstrate their achievements of the highest standards. And this led us to create ILEAP, which is the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. For ILEAP, we partner with several major organizations in Illinois, such as the Illinois City County Management Association, Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, Northwestern University Center for Public Safety, the Intergovernmental Risk Management Association, the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, and others who are part of the ILEAP Accreditation Council. And yes, they are all listed on the plaque as well. So I had to read their names. So this is the Illinois Accreditation Authority for the state of Illinois, and I'm here to congratulate the Riverwoods Police Department on their ILEAP reaccreditation. So this is the second time that you've been accredited. All police departments must undergo a reaccreditation every 4 years to ensure police departments are in compliance with current standards and best practices. As many of you know, our laws are constantly changing, and law enforcement profession continues to evolve along with policies, procedures, and best practices. The Riverwoods Police Department was originally accredited 4 years ago in 2020, so this is their first reaccreditation. It's important for us as a statewide association to publicly recognize departments that are doing well and embracing best practices, and I can assure you that you are. ILEAP is a program sort of designed like a bulletproof vest for administrative reasons. The ILEAP accreditation program aims to make police organizations better by evaluating policies and procedures against established criteria and coupling the alignment of policy and written directives against best practices. It's this practice that your department is known for. This reaccreditation is significant for your department, your community, and all of us in Illinois. The Riverwoods Police Department has achieved Tier 1 status, which means you meet or exceed 69 of the important standards. We review your policies and procedures in the context of these standards. We look at 4 areas, and you can imagine how difficult this is for us to pronounce. George Fluker, Rooster.
Futzenreuter.
Commander George Futzenreuter.
Thank you. To achieve this reaccreditation is a rigorous process taking many, many months for the department to demonstrate its compliance with the standards. And this assessment consists of days of review, department tours, vehicle inspections, interviews, ride-alongs, and an exit interview, and also a 2-hour public opinion phone-in session. Only 61 departments have achieved this accreditation since the program was launched 14 years ago, and that's about 5% of all Illinois police agencies. So congratulations to Chief Bruce Dano and Commander George for his accomplishment on this awesome task.
Right next to George. Yeah. It'll make him look really tall.
Balance it right up. Well, if we didn't know our police department was special before, we sure do now. So thank you guys so much. And thank you, Commander George Futzenreuter, for all your work, because I know it was hard work to get all that together and make your officer friends comply. But I know that Chief Dano has been wonderful in terms of training and support of the department, especially the budget.
I just wanted to add that, Chief Leonis did mention it, all the standards that we had to meet. And I just want to thank Commander Futzenreuter for his unending work. And it is unending because he constantly has to keep files on every one of the standards and should get proofs of compliance, which could be general orders, it could be photographs, it could be, just about anything, just to prove that we're in compliance, copies of police reports. So, and the fire chief knows what I'm talking about. They go through it too. So, so George, thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can go home now. Moving on. First item of business is approval of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting for March 20th. Do I have a motion for approval, please? Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions about the meeting minutes for March 20th? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion's passed. In front of you, there's a file, and it contains minutes of executive sessions from May of 2023 and our recent executive session from March 20th. If you could please take a look at those, and if you have comments or questions on those, we can take those up in executive session at our next meeting. So the plan is to approve both sets of minutes at the next meeting as to form, and then take action to make the May 2023 minutes public. The March 20th, 2024 meeting minutes will be made public at a future time. So again, there's no action on that right now, but please understand what you have in front of you and what we'll be doing next at the next meeting. Okay, moving forward, the finance director's report, the approval of the bills. First, do I have a motion for approval of the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion, questions, or comments on the bills as presented? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Clayton.
Aye.
Trustee Dickon. Trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Trustee Hollander.
Aye.
Trustee Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Director Vasquez, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just briefly, our audit field work will begin next week.
It's exciting. Are there any questions for our director? Okay, moving ahead, treasurer is not with us this evening. Director of Community Services report. Director Witt, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully a brief summary of some major things that we've worked on in the department over the past 2 weeks. Administratively, we have received bids for the 2024 road program. 8 of the SSAs participated this year, and we'll discuss those results under new business when we get there in the agenda. We are working on completing our responses to Verisk as they continue to evaluate the building department. It's likely that they will complete their review prior to us ever getting to adopting the new codes, considering that the ICC has yet to publish several of the codes that we need. It's been on back order for over 6 weeks. I just want to caution that will likely result in a lower than anticipated score, or lower than deserved score, I should say. However, the reviewer indicated that they would adjust the rating once we actually show proof of adoption of the new codes. Because as we remember, they don't want to see municipalities having building codes that are more than 6 years old, which ours would be since we're currently on the 2018. In construction activities, the emergency work on the Trillium, Meadow Lake, and Thorngate lift stations has been completed by Lake County Public Works Department. I was pleased to see that occurred within a week of us telling them, hey, we need to get moving on this. They had a good bid. We have moved them forward, and we're currently reviewing GHA's proposal for the design of the necessary improvements to the remaining lift stations, which should occur over the next few years. We have budgeted for 2024 renovations on at least one of those stations. Just to note that Lake County started tree removal within the public right-of-way in front of the police station on Saunders Road Force Main project. That activity will continue to occur south of Deerfield Road on the west side of Saunders, and will eventually switch over to the east side within the next few weeks. They have distributed flyers to some of the neighbors within the Thorngate subdivision to let them know that work is occurring. Enforcement actions included an adjudication hearing, which was last held on March 21st. 11 citations were acted on. 1 was non-suited as the property owner came into compliance, which is what the program is supposed to do. However, 10 others were judged liable in each case, with total fines and court costs of $6,650, which some of that's been collected and some are still working on it. In other enforcement action, we've issued 2 stop work orders, which have been posted at construction sites. 1 for failing to abate some life safety hazards as part of the previously mentioned adjudication issue, and the other for starting demolition on a house without a permit. Further, we've issued 8 notices to residents on some zoning violations of various sorts. In planning, we're preparing the first case of an applicant seeking a variation to the amount of protected woodland area that can be removed from a property. We have a property in the village that's 100% covered in a woodland. The prospective owners would like to construct a new house. They have some challenges because the woodland on this particular property is of a high quality nature, and as well they have some high quality wetlands which constrain the area that they can actually work in. So that will be reviewed within the next few weeks. We've also prepared a case to be heard by the Zoning Board of Appeals next week related to signage at the Med Spa building at 1105 Milwaukee Avenue. And we're working with a property owner on a lot subdivision, which is being prepared at this time. We're not ready for any submittals yet. So basically, it's been a typical 2 weeks within the department. And that's what I have for tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Trustee Hollander, please.
2 questions. The property that has 100% woodlands, does one normally evaluate the property and to see if it's affected by this before a property is purchased?
This particular couple that's looking to purchase have been working with the village for, my guess is about 6 weeks, going through their due diligence process to understand what not only the zoning and the building code, the woodlands and the wetlands ordinances and requirements are. So we've kind of been spending an inordinate amount of time on this particular case. A lot of that time with our consultants is being billed to them, so we are recouping some of that time. But yes, we on a regular basis have people contact us when they're looking to either purchase a new property. We have some properties that are vacant that they're calling to find out what the zoning restrictions are, what the wetlands or woodland restrictions are. And yes, the department works with them to help them understand before purchase.
My second question is about a month and a half ago, I asked about the ability to get information regarding the adjudication process. Now, it may be that if any one individual, myself included, is interested in it, we can go to the hearing ourselves and take that time. But there was some discussion as to whether or not there would be some type of summary or report. Do we know, or do you know if that's in the process?
It has been briefly discussed with Attorney Hoover, but I don't believe that we've really made a decision on how we're moving forward with that.
I think we had some privacy concerns and we were trying to figure out how we could distill the information into a report that would be useful to you without necessarily, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the adjudication was a public process.
It is.
And what's said there is public.
It is.
Okay. And I'm at a loss.
Well, because, for example, when matters are non-suited, when matters are continued, there's a lot of detail that goes on. So the question was, are we really just looking for the outcome of cases? Fine was issued. So, we've had a discussion. We haven't, in terms of to compile a report, we'd have to create a manner of reporting it and figuring out what to say. And we just haven't had the time to put that together.
Maybe then I should clarify my reason. It isn't just to be an observer or to find all these little details out for personal interest. I know we had 11 or so this last week, apparently, and this is an ongoing process. The reason I'm asking is that as a board, it would be nice to find out the areas that are most involved or most frequently brought for this process to see if there's something we need to evaluate, either to avoid it or to make it stronger. And that's my purpose. It isn't just to find out curiosity. It's so that if there was something going on there, 10 or 12 every month, I just would like a summary of what the issues are.
I think that would make a lot of sense that way.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Dickon, please.
Yes. Do we have a status update on the Saunders Road project?
I did not prepare one for tonight. No, I did not. I could tell you that Lake County in their Force Main project last Friday did a preliminary punch list on that project. So they're looking to close out the first portion of their project. Maybe a further update on what they're doing more so than what we're doing is their next project when they complete this is they're going to be taking the lift station that they have on Saunders Road and reconstructing that. They need larger capacity, so they're going to be moving that somewhat north of the location they're in, deconstructing the existing one, and then resurfacing that area. Part of the problem that we have is their next phase of doing that work is probably going to be out for construction at the same time our anticipated 2025 program is going to happen. So we're trying to work with the county to see how we can coordinate them doing work on the north side of the north end of Saunders, while our contractor starts on the south side and works northward. And hopefully the county won't be holding us up, because if they hold us up, we may have a delay or cause for additional costs because of that delay. So we're trying to work with the county at this point to see how we can coordinate that particular work. The crossing of the water main across Saunders from the east side to the west has been completed. And as far as I know, they're on track for completion on the project.
Is there a timeline that they had shared?
I'm sorry.
Is there a timeline that has been shared by the county?
I don't have one with me tonight, but I will ensure that future reports give an update on those particular projects as well.
Thank you. A lot of Eastern Riverwoods residents are inquiring. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Director Witt? Thank you so very much. Next are the consultants' reports, the attorney's report, please.
Okay, thank you. At the last meeting, Trustee Hollander raised a question about the amount of the appropriation under the general fund. And I patiently assured him that it was in order because it's usually much more than the budgeted amount. I have to eat crow. There was a mistake in the Excel spreadsheet. I'm not blaming Excel, but if you work with their formulas, it's easy to double count, and we double counted. So my apologies, but we did go back and check, and we corrected the amount appropriated. It was still in excess of the budgeted amount, but not by as much as had been shown on the statement. So we did make the correction, and want to thank Trustee Hollander for that. The fire station, we have that later on. They have a status update. So I just had one or two conversations. If you want me to wait, I can, or I can.
Let's keep it all together. if
So we
that's all
can
right.
do it
Yeah,
later.
We'll have a more fulsome conversation.
That's all I have.
Are there any other questions for our village attorney? Our village engineer isn't with us, our psychologist, ecologist
We need
isn't
one.
with us. Believe me, yeah. Next, the Plan Commission report, please. Chairman Brightcoff, thank you.
I have no report tonight.
Oh, really? Thank you. Next, Zoning Board of Appeals. Chairman Greder, please.
And very frankly, I have nothing to report as well, except that the ZBA will be meeting on the 11th.
Thank you very much for that. Next, police report, Chief.
I just have the police activity, which is in the board packets, and then I have an item later on the agenda.
Are there any questions for our chief at this point? Okay. Moving on, fire district report. Chief Kruger's with us. Okay. No problem. No problem.
I'm excited.
Well, good and bad. The first information items and comments from the president. I've been made aware that that the NSSRA had not received our letter of an appointment of the NSSRA representative, and going through our records, as it turns out, we actually probably maybe did not send one. So there is a letter appointing me as the village's representative, and I've been for quite a number of years and was honored to be the chair for the building period when they went through the sale and building of the new location. So I would appreciate the approval of the board for my appointment so that I might sign that letter and send it off so both of our records are complete. May I have a motion for appointment, please?
Second.
Are there any,
Got to be fast.
are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, seeing none. I don't think this is a roll call. I think it's voice vote. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you very, very much. And the NSSRA thanks you as well, I think. Next on the list is the status of the proposed purchase of the Federal Life property. As you might note from the meeting minutes, if you had a chance to look at them, there was a motion. We went into executive session at the end of our last meeting. We came back into session and made a motion that directed our village attorney to engage in the development of letters of intent for the purchase of the Federal Life property. And that's as far as I'm going to go with the detail. I'll let our village attorney lead us through this discussion. So, Bruce, please.
Okay. And Chief Kruger is here, so you can correct me if anything I say is wrong. The fire district has been for some time working with a consulting firm that does planning, engineering, architecture called Dewberry, Dewberry. And I've been in touch with their project manager for the fire station and mostly trying to coordinate so that they were able to get a hold of CAD drawings. The engineering firm that had done work on the townhome proposal for the last couple of years has a lot of information on the site. And we worked out an arrangement with them where we were able to have some of their CAD drawings sent over to the project manager. What that does is that allows them to take the architectural drawings for the station that they've probably done, I don't know, 90% of the work for, and plop it down on the site, rotate it around, see how it fits. Maybe I might call that a test fit, to see how it works. So I talked with Natalie Clemens today, who's the project manager, and she told me that it is looking very good. She may have told something else to the district board. I don't know. She was trying to put together an exhibit. And I said, well, I know you can't share it with me yet, but she said, I'm not finding any material problems, obstacles. And if I can say this without, this is still, maybe I shouldn't, but right now she's looking at an orientation that would have the bays of the station facing Deerfield Road, and where the district would be using the east access drive that currently exists along the site as the main route for exiting to go on a call, and then they would return on the access road that the village would be constructing. Now, that can change. That's why I hesitate to say it, because the next call I made was to put Natalie in touch with Betsy Dukert at Lake County to make sure that the highway department, in terms of ingress and egress from that site, would find that to be an acceptable site plan. So I know the district is probably looking at 15 other variables and considerations at the site right now, but the main thing that I can say is that they've are now actively able to try and maneuver their proposed design onto the site and see how it works. So in terms of letters of intent, I think when we had a conversation with, or I had a conversation, were you on the phone with me?
Conversation.
This would be a conversation with Bill Austin and Nick Standiford, the lawyer for Federal Life. May have lost track of things. And I told them that we needed to wait until the district knew for sure that this was going to work for them. We're going to spend a lot of time drafting letters of intent until we had a little better understanding. So they're very understanding about that. They understand everyone is doing as much fast due diligence as we can to kind of see how all this will play out. And so right now we're in a kind of wait and see mode while the fire district does its evaluation.
Have we had any other calls or meetings with Lake County regarding the property? Chuck Gleason or?
Not since the call that you and I had. That's the one I was remembering. So we did talk with Lake County about this process, and they thought it would take 2 to 3 weeks to get back to us about some of the questions we raised, which is how we could sort of shimmy over into the position of Federal Life in terms of taking the award, even though we might have a slightly different design for stormwater on the site by the time it's built. So there's some issues like that that they were going to explore.
Are there any questions from trustees?
I have one.
Trustee Hollander, please.
Has anybody contacted Meadow Lake?
Yes. When over the weekend, after we had our meeting on Wednesday, I did call Randy Yaffe and I did call Barbara Raff. After I called Trustee Eastman, I just wanted everybody to have everything in front of them to let them know that when we had come out of closed session, there was a motion made to continue to explore. And I don't, naturally the concerns were as we imagined, and that would be noise, lighting, traffic, those kinds of issues. There was some, if I'm remembering this right, correct me, Barbara. We talked about response times and to Thorn Gate in particular. And so I'm maybe it's better to hear from somebody who's going to give you a very direct answer. So I'll ask Chief Kruger to answer that question for you. But we also know that if the fire department is thinking about moving, they will not be moving closer to Riverwoods. They would probably be moving a little bit further down in order to be able to serve the entire district with better response times. So Chief Kruger, without stealing your thunder, if you might just answer that question about response times and the coordination with Deerfield and so
Sure.
on.
So
I
what
think
was
that might be helpful.
Right.
Just down the street.
Okay.
Not even so much if you.
Hmm.
It's if you move to. How would that affect?
So
Well, I can answer that.
there you go. You'll steal my thunder.
They can't move during construction. They're not planning to move until
yeah,
most of
sorry.
that is done.
Oh, sure. Barb, if I could ask you to repeat what you just said so we could make sure that it's on the recording.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. My concern for Thorngate was not so much of if the fire station was to relocate to the Federal Life location. I still
Right.
think that that's a fairly close location.
Mhm.
I had concerns if, and this is what I asked the mayor about, would your move to that location occur during the Deerfield Road project, in which case then I would have concerns that response time might be, delayed
Correct.
because
So-
of that.
It's my understanding that we wouldn't start building until 26.
Right.
Right, until that's all done with. Right,
Mhm.
exactly, yeah. So we want to secure the property and then start building, but we don't have to do it right away. It's more of a priority to purchase the property in cooperation with the village.
One of the drivers of that is that in order to prepare the site for the fire district and for any future use, we have to put in storage, stormwater storage and detention and comp storage. And the county is going to use part of the Federal Life site anyway for the road project. So one of the discussion points we had with the county is and with the district is to wait so that the county is doing all of that work on the site before we come in and try and do anything with a new station.
Trustee Hollander, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I was kind of a follow-up question to whether or not anybody contacted Meadow Lake.
Sure.
At some point, and I don't know when that point is, but at some point, I think that we might have on one of these agendas a discussion of this project with those that are most involved, with Elevate, the nursing home, the gas station if they want to come, Meadow Lake, and anybody else who's close by, that we might want to set aside 15, 20 minutes during one of our agendas when we can answer questions that they might ask, learning from our last dealing with the property. I'd like to get ahead of it instead of behind it.
Yes. And that's the reason why I wanted to connect with, Meadow Lake, because you're the closest to, and make sure that that public announcement was translated there. We've got some time here, I think, working out details and so forth. The timeline for putting something more specific on the agenda, we would certainly, other than a discussion, unless the board chooses to, continue and have a place on the agenda for discussion at every meeting, we can certainly do that. That's not a problem. But I think once things start settling out, then, actions are likely to be taken. We want to be more public and more communicative about it through the newsletter or whatever.
And then
Agreeable.
Mayor,
I'd
Trustee
like
Dick.
to respectfully challenge that
Okay.
purely for the reason that we don't want rumors and misinformation to spread
Absolutely.
before we actually have the realistic story to tell. So maybe just brief summaries of what's going on, just in a very short summarized matter, because, you've spoken to the folks at Meadow Lake. People heard what they wanted to hear. There were interpretations and things could travel down the grapevine in the most,
Would you then agree with just having a place on the agenda at every meeting just for a status
Sure.
update?
I think that would be great.
Is that agreeable? Happy to do it.
Maybe even
I mean,
a
it's
very
easy to-
brief,
it's-
maybe even a brief article in the newsletter, just saying that this
Let's
is
see what we
a
can do on
topic
that.
of
Yeah.
discussion.
Okay. And we want to be mindful of what the fire district would like to communicate as well.
Right. We can add whatever you want, we have to get the latest study, station allocations, professional study that was done. It's a draft form. It just has to be approved by our board of trustees. And that's that storyboard, the video, it kind of gives a really good depiction of what actually we're trying to accomplish, not just for our overall district needs, not just moving the fire station, but that paints it's more visual and it's a little more basic and easier to understand for a regular,
Okay, sure,
Mhm.
sure. Agreeable?
Chief, do you have anything else that you want to
No, sir.
just bring to our attention?
Nope.
Okay. You didn't need to correct anything I said?
No, you're good. Okay. I'm usually the one that gets corrected, so
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to new business then. Approval of the 2024 road program. Director Witt, please.
Thank you, Mayor. On March 26th of this year, we received bids for the 2024 version of the road maintenance project, which is an annual project. As I indicated earlier, the basis of this bid was a culmination of 8 different SSAs and the work that they would like to get done. GHA had put together a cost estimate of $123,000 for this particular project. Bids were secured from 3 different firms. 2 of those firms were below the estimate cost. The low bid, Schroeder Asphalt Services, was substantially underneath the estimate at $105,239.46. So we're recommending an award of the contract for the Riverwoods 2024 road maintenance project to Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc., based on their base bid amount of $105,239.46. I'll have to just note that we did take an alternate bid in here for doing some additional path work for the demonstration center. But at this point in time, we're not accepting that alternate because we're still evaluating the numbers that came in for that. But we will need to get the rest of this project moving forward so that we can be ready when the weather breaks a little bit better, and certainly after the 15th, when historically the asphalt plant's open. So we are looking to move forward with the base bid amount only.
Is there a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, questions? Trustee Hollander and then Trustee Clayton. Go ahead.
Can I assume that the amount you're asking for excludes the 8 SSA? In other words, you have the Villages Road, and then you mentioned a couple of times that there are 8 SSAs as part of the program. Is the bid include the 8 SSAs that you're at?
The bid is based on the work established for the 8 SSAs, the base bid amount, yes. Which is the way the program has worked historically in the past. Each of the SSAs that all of the SSAs are invited to participate. This year, 8 of them decided, that they want to do the work through the village program versus having any work done potentially on their own. And we have had homeowners associations who have done work on their own without going through the program. So then GHA meets with each of them, goes through their areas, determines what work needs to be done, and establishes what they anticipate as being the unit quantities of work. Then we get the unit prices, and then based on that quantity versus unit price, we establish what the base bid amounts are.
I understand how the program works. My question is, I don't know whether I'm approving out of the $105,000. I don't know if I'm approving $100,000 in village work and $5,000 in SSA work, or whether the village's work is $5,000 and there's $100,000 for SSAs. In other words, when we approve this, I'd like to know what it's costing the village, because the SSA costs go back to them and isn't ours to approve or not approve in a sense. We're not spending any money. We're just being a pass through. So when we get these in the future, I'd like to know what it's costing the village to do the road work separate and apart from the SSA, even though and I understand the reason for the program, I'm all in favor of it, but I don't know what I'm approving here.
It's all SSAs,
Is
is
there-
it not? It's all for SSAs. There's no village work happening. That's what I heard you say.
Not under the base bid. There is no village work occurring.
That's what I heard him say.
I misunderstood. I thought you said the village road work and the SSAs,
The alternate bid was associated with the village
which we're not
desire
doing.
to do this demonstration path is what we've been calling it. The numbers came in higher than where we thought it would be, but I think what's happening is that often contractors will go for a low bid in order to make more money on alternate bids, which may be priced higher than what you could normally get it otherwise. So we're still evaluating that.
Okay.
All we're asking for today is getting the base bid amount taken care of so that we can service the 8 SSAs as part of this program without a delay.
I apologize. I thought it included the other as my error.
No problem. It's a
Trustee Clayton,
valid
do you have a
question.
Point, sorry.
No, my question was answered. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Trustee Jamerson, please.
I just have a question about the engineering costs. Are we passing those on to the SSAs? Are you doing it by percentage of the project, or how are you doing that?
In the past, that's what GHA has done. They've just
Okay.
allocated construction supervision and administration based on a.
So the SSA, so basically this whole project, the asphalt and the engineering and all the soft costs are 100% being covered by the SSAs.
Right.
In this case.
In this case, and what is interesting is that in some of the years, the village share has been still less than half. And yet, because we're doing the SSA work, the village is actually benefiting in that sense because we're having that economy of scale. So
Sure.
we all help each other out in this sense.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Dickon? Trustee Jamerson?
Aye.
Trustee Hollander?
Uh,
Trustee Smith?
Aye.
Trustee Clayton?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the position description and appointment of the village clerk. Trustee Clayton, will you please report from the Comp and Benefits Committee?
Speaking as a representative of the committee and in Bill's absence. I'm going to talk briefly about Denise Moore, who's the candidate that we've identified for the clerk's position. But note that it's also combined. It's really 2 positions combined. It's an administrative position as well as the clerk position. In that context, there's 3 really key elements of her background that I just like to call your attention to. One is that she's worked as a paralegal, which means that she has some significant experience in document management and retention and so on. She has a master's degree in public administration, which she got with honors. And she has 3 different elements of municipal experience. She served as both a plan commissioner and a police commissioner. She served as the village clerk. The only reason why she left the village clerk position was because she was asked to be a trustee for an appointed position. So she served as commissioner, trustee, and clerk in the past. She interviewed well. We did a salary survey for the combined 2 positions. And the point that I would make is that the salary that's in the document, as well as the additional benefits, are all in the approved budget. So the committee would like to ask for your approval.
Are there any questions? Trustee Jamerson?
I just have a question about the overtime and how that's going to be handled. Because obviously, I'm assuming the village clerk is going to be at these meetings.
Yes.
And possibly at the plan commission meetings. I'm not sure. Are we going to, what it says in here is over 40 hours a week, but it's 40-hour-a-week job. So on these nights, are we going to, is that person going to work a part of a day or take some part of the week off? Or are we going to be expending more overtime that's not calculated in this number?
We're going to ask Director Vasquez to answer that question.
Whoever.
So since the position is eligible for overtime, if she did stay late for hours such as a night like this with the village board meeting, she would receive overtime hours. The amount of anticipated overtime would still put her annual pay at an amount less than what we had put in the budget for 2024 for this new position.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's not the answer.
But do you have a projection of that?
Trustee Smith,
Oh,
please.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So do you have a projection of that cost?
I don't have the number in front of me. It would also depend on if the requirement would be for just board meetings or how often we anticipated either plan commission meetings and or ZBA meetings in the future. So there could be some variance there.
We have experience with overtime, with attendance, the former clerk. And so we've got that experience. This clerk may be asked to take plan commission meetings, may be asked to do ZBA meetings. But what we did do is we did do a projection. What's the, if you want to consider worst case, for us, best case for her, in terms of total compensation. And there was a compensation discussion with the candidate, and original compensation without overtime. There was some discussion about increasing that. Well, it's the required hours, the 40 days and 40
hours.
nights, the 40 hours, I'm getting there, the 40 minutes. The 40 hours a week that's non-negotiable. We need somebody in here full time. But she understands that there is required overtime for these positions. And yes, that number was projected and within the budget. Yes, Trustee Jamerson.
I guess my question also has to do with this meeting, for instance, starts at 7:30. The work day, I'm assuming, ends at 4:30. So what happens in those 3 hours? Is that paid time or is that?
Well, I can tell you that what our deputy clerk does is work during those periods of time, and she's paid overtime. So I would expect the same, the same practice of the village clerk.
Okay, that's fine. It's not going to change how I vote. I just am curious as to if we've taken all that into account.
Oh, yeah. Trustee Hollander.
Two comments. One is just to consider the idea of compensatory time in the sense that if there's going to be a meeting such as tonight, that she may be able to take those hours off during the day. That's just something consideration. It's not up to us, but I just put it out there. Second, one of the requirements, and I think I've written the mayor, is that she have a notary public. And it's a requirement of the job. My understanding, based on what was given to us, that is not present. And I think that that's a function that ought at least, let's say, within the first 3 months or 6 months of employment, we should have a notary public in this village hall.
I'll answer the first question, and that is the discussion about comp time. It gets a little difficult to track comp time.
Okay.
And then do you accumulate it? Do you not accumulate it? And we just thought that it was cleaner to have and the position does come in at I'm going to get it wrong, non-exempt status. So comp time just,
okay,
you
that's
can
right.
take it, but you don't get paid for it,
But I do want to make this contingent on the fact that she does receive a notary public within a fixed amount of time. We would pay for the fees for licensing.
Yeah, it's an easy thing.
It's a fairly easy thing to get. It's not an actual requirement of village clerk statutorily. It's maybe handy to have in the village hall, but I can't think of that many instances where they've desperately short of a notary public. I mean, to offer her service to the public for that, that's another story because that takes away her time.
Right.
You know, but
it wasn't part of the qualification. I mean, it wasn't,
No.
I didn't see it within
no,
the
it's
qualification.
it's
So-
not a
not a
typical.
Can I say something? I took the test already this year. I'm waiting for my stamp.
She stepped up.
And we have one at the police department too.
Do we? Yes.
No,
Yeah.
we have two at the police station
Yeah.
With the police station.
and two here right now. So
I don't.
Years you've been sitting next to me, I'm one too.
Are you really? Are you really? I did not know that. Well, congratulations. Are there any other questions or comments?
Got a comment, just looking at the
Trustee
job
Dickon?
description
Uh-huh.
and the candidate's qualification, you're getting a pretty high quality candidate for a fairly reasonable amount.
Yes, yes, we are. We're very fortunate. Mr. Balling went through a great deal of, he really looked out there. He contacted, you'll see in the memo, all the places that he's contacted. And we've been quite fortunate in his recruiting activities. And this is just another instance of finding someone that we're going to be very, very happy to get. And hopefully I will not be asking for any other appointment letters that we couldn't find or didn't exist. The records project is coming. So, Trustee Clayton, did you have anything else to add? Did I miss anything, Director Vasquez?
No, I would like to echo the same sentiments that we do have a lean staff, so it's helpful when we can find a candidate that can kind of help fill the gaps in other ways. This is someone who has served as a village clerk in the past. It's someone who's served a village in different functions, so understands the challenges and needs that you face on the other side of the table as a trustee. And it's someone who's taken upon themselves to get a master's degree in public administration to further understand the profession. So I'm very excited for the opportunity to work with this individual.
Any other questions? Trustee Clayton?
Correct me if this is not the form, please, but I'd like to move that the board approve the position description of village clerk and the packet and the appointment of Ms. Denise Moore as the village clerk.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? I think it's a roll call. Roll call, please.
Trustee Jamerson,
Aye.
trustee Hollander,
Aye.
trustee Smith,
Aye.
trustee Clayton,
Aye.
trustee Dickon.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is approval of a resolution approving an intergovernmental operating agreement among the member agencies of the Violent Crime Intelligence Task Force. Chief, please.
So approval of the intergovernmental agreement between the Riverwoods Police Department, the Illinois State Police to join the State Police Violent Crime Intelligence Task Force would basically just be formalizing something that we've already been doing. What the task force members are required to do are to help enforce parts of the Firearm Owners Identification Act. For instance, we're currently monitoring Riverwoods residents whose firearm owner's identification card or FOID card becomes suspended or revoked. And when we do come across somebody who's been suspended or revoked, we make contact with the resident and we attempt to get their identification card and take possession of that and send that to the state or destroy it depending on the circumstances. We also determine if and where they have firearms, and if they do, we make arrangements for the firearms to not be in their possession. Either make sure that they go to somebody else who does have a valid card, or we can take possession of them until they can make other arrangements because they still own the firearms, even though they can't possess them. We also notify the state police when we come across a person who we believe is a clear and present danger. And that would start the process of also suspending or revoking their firearms identification card. And we also, in certain cases, we have obtained firearm restraining orders for individuals who we think are a threat. Whereas we not only do the clear and present danger, but we take possession of their firearms right then and there and go before a judge and have their license temporarily at least suspended until the Illinois State Police can act to suspend it further. So by formalizing the agreement with them, and the reason I wanted to do this now, since we've already been doing all of the legwork, is because it will make us, it's a required in order to be awarded the fiscal year 25 state police revocation enforcement grant. And that grant would then get us, reimburse us for our expenses for doing what I just described. So that's the impetus behind wanting to join the task force so we can become eligible for the grant.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion or questions for our chief?
I just have one quick question. I don't think it makes
Trustee
I don't think
Jamerson, please.
it's a difference. On the term of the agreement, which is, I don't know what page it's on, page 41 of 41 of 49. It just says it commences on July 1st of 2023. So that's not a big deal, right? I mean, that it's almost a year old. That's in their boilerplate.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I'm sure I can just change that when I
mean, I don't think it makes any difference, does it, Attorney Hoover? Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Hollander.
Aye.
Trustee Smith.
Aye.
Trustee Clayton.
Aye.
Trustee Dickon.
Aye.
And Trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. No old business tonight. Visitors wishing to address the board. Yeah, you need the mic so it gets on the recording.
Am I on? Yes.
You're, thank you.
Barbara Raff, 645 Thorngate Lane.
Thank you.
That's okay. RAFF. I have a concern about a service drive, which is located in Thorngate that we believe is village property. As you know, we redid our roads last summer and we did not touch this roadway because it goes from Thorngate Lane to what I think is a lift station. And it's crumbling. And the neighbor adjacent to the service drive contacted me as president of the homeowners association and asked what we were going to do about it. And we contacted Lake County thinking it was Lake County's drive. And they told us that they just service the equipment that is Riverwoods equipment and that we need to contact Riverwoods. So I did contact Riverwoods, but I haven't heard back. So I just want to make sure that I am expressing my question as to, is this drive Riverwoods property? And if it is, when will it be resurfaced? Because it is in very poor condition. And it's adjacent to 644 Thorngate Lane. And across the street from 645 Thorngate Lane, where I live.
To answer your question,
Yes.
I've discussed this with Steve Witt, with Director
Okay.
Witt. I've stared at the subdivision plats,
Yeah.
which I reviewed when they were under
Okay.
consideration. And it's a bit of an ambiguous situation. It's within one of the common area outlots, I think, of Thorngate. So it's technically on association property. Your comment really goes to, well, is the pavement itself association pavement, or isn't that really just benefiting the village? And that was the question that was asked to me.
Yeah.
And We'll get back to you.
Okay.
I understand the concern. The village has, other access rights throughout Thorngate. I wouldn't want it thought that the village had a duty to replace every piece of pavement that the village goes over in Thorngate. The difference here seems to be that the only party that uses this piece of pavement is the village and or the county. So it probably falls in a different category, and we haven't had a chance to get together.
Okay.
But when we do, I'm aware of it.
Perfect. That's just what I just wanted to make sure that it was on the radar. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? Randy? No. Steve? No. Les? Catherine? Russ? Anyone? Oh, come on. All right. All right.
Catherine Romanelli, 2314 Glen Eagles. It's actually for Chief Dano. And I think I read this in one of the Lake County updates that Lake County Sheriff's Department was going to be purchasing flock clamp cameras. Is that
I'm sorry, purchasing what?
flock cameras like we just,
They may be putting them in unincorporated areas.
that was my question. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand where Lake County Sheriff's Department would be putting them.
Yeah, the Lake County Sheriff's Police is basically responsible for law enforcement activities in unincorporated areas. So people, parts of Lake County that don't have a police department, they use the Lake County Sheriff. So that's where they'd be putting the cameras, just like any other police department.
Okay, because there are that area adjoining Thorngate where the synagogue is. I think that's an unincorporated Lake County.
Yeah, there's two buildings right there. One of them is the synagogue, and don't ask me why, but those are part of Lake County. If you look at the map, it just kind of a little recess there, and that's Lake County.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then there's no reason to go into committee. I'm sorry, skipped right over it. I'm so sorry. Committee reports. Trustee Clayton, Finance.
No report.
Trustee Dickon, Communications.
Brief report of entertainment type of quality. Last time I reported that we had a very significant amount of traffic coming from Poland onto our website, nearly 15%. It's a funny story. I knew that they weren't hackers because they were coming to the homepage and leaving. They weren't even making it to the contacts page. So it turns out there's a branding agency, a restaurant, and a woodworking place that have recently launched their websites and gone through excessive rebranding. So people were typing in Riverwood, it's singular, coming to our page and then leaving. So they're not hackers.
When it wasn't Riverwood. Yes.
End of report.
Who knew?
Thank you. Trustee Eastman is not with us this evening. Trustee Hollander.
No report.
Trustee Jamerson.
The building permit report is in the packet. We had quite a busy month in March, and it appears that the roofs are starting to be re-roofed again. More than half of the permits were for roofs, and almost to the tune of $2 million overall. Some of those were bigger projects other than roofs, but anyways. And I would like to say I've looked through these glasses and they do not work. I can't see a thing.
Well, that's, yes, you each got a set. Trustee Smith.
Yeah, so just a brief report. There is this the Residents Sustainability and Climate Action Plan Working Group meeting, which is scheduled for a week from today at 7 p.m. at the Village Hall. I'm excited to be part of that along with other residents, and I will be acting as a resident. But still, I wanted to make sure that the Board of Trustees was aware of that. And then the other thing, Chris, was the Greenest Region Compact.
Yeah.
So we're going to be participating in that. And I will be joining that as part of the Environmental Committee, which is really kind of focused on policy and programs, green energy, clean energy, solar, water resources, et cetera. So I'm very excited about being part of that.
Good.
That's what I have for today.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, the last issue, the glasses I left you. How nice, right? That was, the eclipse is coming. It's Monday. And Orphans of the Storm actually had something on one of our newsletters where you could click on it and you're carried to a website. And if you type in Orphans 10, you get a discount on buying the eclipse glasses. So that's what we did. So be careful, but hopefully we'll get to see a 93% eclipse. Be careful. Do not look at the sun. So if there's nothing else, our next meeting is April 16th at 7:30 right here. Do I have a motion for adjournment? There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?